Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Luke's English Podcast. In this one, I'm just going to try and improvise a story to you, right? I don't really know where I'm going to go with this story, so I'm just going to start telling the story and I'm going to make it up as I go along. Your task for this episode is just to listen and just to try and follow, try and keep up with the story, just try and understand it all. And where is the punchline? Where's the punchline? Usually in a joke, there's a punchline, which is the kind of funny concluding line at the end of the joke. Usually jokes are pretty short. Even the long jokes don't usually go on for more than a couple of minutes. And normally there's a funny line or a punchline at the end, which is supposed to make you laugh. Now, considering I'm going to make this story really long, that's probably going to affect the outcome of the joke. It's probably not going to be a funny punchline because there are rules to telling jokes. One of the rules is that the setup is not too long, because if the setup is really, really, really long, it's got to have an amazing punchline in order for it to actually work. So I don't expect that the punchline to this joke's going to really work, but it doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is that you're going to get to listen to probably about 30 minutes of kind of live storytelling, and so I think we should get started. Right. So let's see. Some time ago, an unspecific time in the past, I was feeling a bit exhausted, you know. I'd been working hard, teaching my students English. It's great fun job, but sometimes it can be a little bit demanding, especially when the students either one of two things. The students either ask you lots of difficult questions. For example, what does the word "at" mean? And you have to kind of give them some extremely abstract answer. Well, the word "at" really is a word that expresses some kind of proximity. And, you know, the answer never really satisfies, because the answer is, if they don't understand the word "at", they're not going to understand the abstract answer, the abstract explanation of the word "at". So you can see the kind of knots and things that I get tied up in my job. And sometimes it gets you a bit exhausted. You can burn out. And I thought, I need a week off, because otherwise I'm going to burn out. And so I took a week off and I thought, I'm going to go out into the countryside. So I rented a car and I drove out into the countryside, which was very nice. Lots of greenery everywhere, fields, trees, hedges, the sky, the sun, fresh air. It was lovely. It was fantastic. Lots of little animals running around everywhere, the birds singing in the trees, bees and wasps and things flying around. It was very nice, just driving along, just relaxing. You know, I had the windows down and everything, just sort of listening to the sound of the birds singing, the fresh air. Obviously, I was pumping lots of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere out of the back of the car, but never mind that. And I was driving along, and I saw by the side of the road a sign, and the sign said, "Talking dog for sale." Talking dog for sale. And I kept driving, and I thought, talking dog for sale, wow, that's interesting. First of all, I didn't realise that dogs could talk. That's news to me. And apparently there is a dog that can talk, and it's there in that farm, and it's for sale. So I decided I'd turn round. So I stopped the car and did a 3-point turn in the road. Obviously, I checked my mirrors carefully and made sure that, I wasn't going to crash into another car. And I turned round and I went back to the farm, and I thought, I'm going to visit this farm. I'm going to find out about this talking dog and possibly think about purchasing it, because apparently it's for sale. And the whole thing is going to make for a really, really stupid episode of Luke's English Podcast. That's the only reason I'm doing this. I'm only going to investigate this talking dog for sale just because it might then give me something to talk about on the podcast. So I drove down into the farm and got to the farmhouse, and I knocked on the door, and I thought, I'm gonna speak to the farmer. I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna check out the dog. I'm going to see how much it costs. Maybe I'm going to negotiate. I'm going to haggle with him, try and bring the price down, because I imagine a talking dog is going to cost a lot of money. I mean, I reckon probably that it's probably just a dog that barks and it sounds like it's saying something. You know, it's probably a dog that goes, I don't know, what would it say? It's probably a dog that just, you know, when it barks, it probably sounds like it's going, you know, hey, hey, or something like that. Not that a dog would say hey. Sausages, maybe, sausages. I don't know. It's probably just not really a talking dog, but just some kind of gimmick. And eventually the farmer arrived at the door, and I said to him, hello, are you the farmer? And he said, yes, I am. I suppose you're here I suppose you're here. Wait a minute, farmer. Shouldn't you have a farmer's voice? You shouldn't just speak in the same voice as me. And the farmer went, oh yeah, I suppose that's right. I should probably speak like some kind of farmer. And I said to him, are you going to have to keep up that accent for the rest of the story? I suppose I am, Luke, yes. Now this is the accent of a farmer, vaguely. It's the sort of, you know, like southwest, west country kind of accent, because lots of farmers come from this part of the country, all right? And I said to him, okay, that's fine, you can speak in that voice, but it might limit your involvement in this story, because I'm not sure I can keep doing that accent for a long time. I can only do it in short bursts, because the longer I speak like that, the worse the accent becomes, and the more it just doesn't sound like a real accent. It just sounds like some kind of weird version of an accent that I'm creating. But anyway, Mr. Farmer, yes. Okay, so I've come here for a reason. And the farmer said, I suppose you've come here about this talking dog, am I right? And I said to him, yes, that's right. How did you know? He said, well, that's the only reason people come here. What generally happens is people are driving around in the countryside because they're a bit tired of their job. Are you all right there? You're having trouble with that word, aren't you? Yeah, I am. Job. I don't know how to say that word in this accent, but I'm going to do it anyway. People drive around in the countryside because they're a bit tired of their job, right? Well done. Thanks a lot. And they invariably drive past my farm and they notice the sign, which obviously you've done, and they come in here and they want to see this talking dog. Is that the case for you? Yeah, that's exactly what's happened to me. That's amazing. Right, so let's get to it. Mr. Farmer. All right then, let's get to it. Yeah, fine. I suppose you want to know where it is. Yes, exactly. Where is this talking dog? Where can I see it? I can't wait to discover the amazingness of an animal, a domestic animal, that is able to communicate. I don't know which language it speaks. Could you tell me which language it speaks? Yeah, of course, Luke. I'll tell you that. That's no problem. That's all part of the transaction. Yeah, he speaks English, of course. He speaks excellent English. He's very fluent. Well, brilliant. Okay, so here's the question then. Where is it? Well, I'll tell you where it is, Luke. Shall I? Yes, that would be a good idea. All right, then I'll start doing that now. Yes, I think you should start doing that now. Right then. Okay, so here you are at the farmhouse, right? Yes, good. I know that because I can see it, and it says farmhouse just there. Right. Okay. So what you're going to do? You're going to come out here, turn right, keep going along the path, right? You keep going, and then when you get to you're going to get to a little doorway. All right. You're going to go through that doorway, and then what you're going to do there is you're going to find a long wall. A long wall, okay? So you keep going, keep walking along, keep going with the wall on your side, keep walking until you get to the end of the wall, and then what you're going to do is you turn round, but I mean turn around so you go round the end of the wall, right? And then you're on the other side of the wall, okay? And then what you're going to do there is you're going to keep walking, okay? Keep walking, just keep walking with the wall on your right, okay? And you keep going, and what's going to happen there is you're going to get back to where you started from, okay? Why would I do that, Mr. Farmer? I mean, what's the point of just walking to the end of a wall and then coming back so I'm back where I started from? Yes, you may think you're back where you started from, but you're on the other side of the wall, aren't you? Oh, yeah, that's right, okay. So you're actually very close to where you started from, but you're on the other side of the wall. Right, so I have to go all the way over to the end of the wall and back just to get onto the other side of the wall. That's right, Luke, you've got it. You're a clever lad, aren't you? You're smart. What do you do for a living? I'm an English teacher. Well, that figures, doesn't it? Do you have to be intelligent to do that? Well, not really, but it helps. Well, I think that you're probably one of the intelligent ones because you worked out my instructions. Now, once you've got to that point, you're on the other side of the wall. You may notice that there is a door there which you could have used, but never mind that. Now, what you're going to do is there's a little path there, and you're just going to follow the path, and it winds down through some trees, through a little wood, and you're going to keep going. Don't stray from the path, okay? Do not stray from the path. Is that clear? Sorry, what did you say? Do not stray from the path. Sorry, do not stray from the path. What's the path? Look, Luke, I don't speak like you because I'm not from that London, all right? I've got a slightly different voice to you. There's no need to insult me, okay? Now, what I said was do not stray from the path. I'm sorry, Farmer. I know that you speak slightly differently from me, but I don't know what you're saying. Do not stray from the path. I don't know what that is. All right, Luke, I'm going to try and say it in your voice, okay? Do not stray from the path. Oh, right, the path. Okay, so I should keep to the path. That's right, Luke. Do not walk into the forest because there are spiders in there. There are spiders in the forest. Do not walk into the forest, okay? Right, thanks, Farmer. You seem to be adding a new element to this story, which wasn't planned. That's right, Luke. I'm adding a new kind of Lord of the Rings type element to this story, which could drastically alter the way that the story moves forward. I know that this was never really an intended part of the story. You were never supposed to have some kind of Lord of the Rings sort of battling with spiders, but I'm doing it. I'm throwing it in there, okay? So just do not stray from the path because there are spiders in the wood. All right? There are spiders in the wood? Really? Well, of course there are spiders in the wood. It's a wood. There are trees. That's where spiders live. That's normal. I mean, is that the only reason I shouldn't stray from the path? Well, Luke, to be honest, that's not the only reason you shouldn't stray from the path, because, well, the path leads you to the destination you should be going to. So if you stray from the path, you won't get to where you should be going. And there are spiders. Right, okay. All right, so I'll keep to the path, and I'll just follow the path, and then what happens? Right, when you get to, when you follow the path, what you'll find there is there's a river, okay? There's a river. Do not go in the river. Do not go in the river, okay? Right, don't go in the river. I wasn't planning to go in the river anyway. Why would I go in the river? Well, you say that, Luke, but some folks, what happens is, when they get down to that river, they have one look at the lovely crystal waters, the fresh running water of the river, and they think to themselves, oh, that path was long. I resisted the temptation to leave the path and battle with spiders, and so I'm going to take a little bath in the river. I'm going to leave the path. I'm going to take a bath in the river. Sorry, Mr. Farmer, but again, you've lost me. I don't know what you're saying. Follow the path and then take a bath in the river. Right, okay, no, I'm not going to do that. Look, I just want to find the talking dog. Okay, never mind all this fantasy stuff about don't leave the path, don't go into the water. Never mind all that. I just want to find the talking dog. That's the story. Stop trying to make this into Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit or something. All right, Luke. All right. No need to get frustrated. Okay. I don't know if it's my voice or what, but I can't help making this into The Hobbit Part 4. You know what I mean? Anyway, right. So do not go into the river. I know it's going to be tempting, but don't do it. All right. The water is beautiful. It's clear. It's fresh. It makes a lovely little trickling sound. But don't go into the water, all right? Because if you do, then you'll fall asleep. You'll fall asleep and you'll end up being kidnapped by goblins. All right, just don't do it. All right, farmer, I won't leave the path. I won't go into the water. I don't want to be kidnapped by goblins. I mean, that, to be honest, that's nearly happened to me before in another episode of Luke's English podcast, which you might have forgotten about. It was called the Mystery Story, and it nearly happened by the River Thames, and I don't count on it happening again. All right, Luke, fine. Right, so what do you propose then as an alternative to going into the river? How do I get to the talking dog? Right, well, you'll find a bridge. There is a bridge there, but it's no ordinary bridge. No, this is the Bridge of Doom. Oh, God, for God's sake, the Bridge of Doom. Are you kidding? I'm not kidding, Luke. It's very, very serious. I thought this was a farm. It's not Harry Potter. I don't care, Luke. I'm just trying to explain to you how to find this talking dog. All right? Now, it's very important you follow my instructions carefully, because a lot of people, a lot of weary travellers who come this way, they don't follow my advice, and they do one of a number of things. One of the things they do wrong is, let me guess, they stray from the path. That's right, Luke. Yeah, they stray from the path, and we never see them again. It's probably because they get bored and they go home. No, I don't think so, Luke. I think that they get captured by spiders, and then all of their blood is sucked out by venomous spiders. We don't need to know the details. Just move on to the second point. The second point that people do wrong is they go into the water of the river, and I can't explain clearly enough. Do not go into the river. Okay, I think I've got that point. What's the third thing? The third thing is at the Bridge of Doom that they answer the questions of doom with the wrong answers. Oh my God, there are questions. Sorry, farmer, can I ask you a question? Do you own this farm? Yes, I do. So couldn't you maybe, I don't know, do something to stop these sorts of things happening? Couldn't you couldn't you get rid of the spiders? Couldn't you put a bridge over the river that doesn't have some kind of challenge before you can get onto it? Can't you just put a little bridge? No, Luke, no, because this is a magical forest, and it's just part of the story, okay? It's a fairy tale. You can't go over the bridge unless you answer the questions of the bridge. All right, okay, well, can you give me an indication of what the questions are? Well, Luke, that's the thing, isn't it? That's the thing, because the questions have not been defined yet. Why not? Well, because I haven't decided what they are, because I'm writing this story, we're writing this story as we go. I haven't pre-planned clever questions, clever, mysterious questions that could be asked to you at the bridge. So I'm leaving it open. In fact, all I'm going to tell you is that the questions change depending on who is being asked. Sorry, what was that? The questions change depending on who's being asked. Right, I'm starting to get a handle on your vowel sounds now. I think what you said was the questions change depending on who's being asked. That's right, Luke, asked. No, asked, isn't it? Asked, asked, asked. Which one is it? Well, I'd say asked, you say asked, all right? Isn't that okay? That's all right, isn't it? Yes, fine. It's possible for different accents to exist in the world. That's fine. Okay. All right, so you're telling me that I'm going to be asked three questions that three questions that are different, like unique questions that apply only to me. Okay, fine. I know the thing. I've seen Monty Python and the Holy Grail. I get it. All right, fine. So, good. Thanks a lot, farmer. I'm going to go now. All right, thanks. Like, I don't want you to add any more kind of fantasy elements to this story, so I'm going to go. All right, farmer, thanks a lot. One thing, Luke, one thing. How did you know my name? Never mind that right now. One thing, before you leave for the forest, the magical enchanted forest, on your adventure to find the talking dog, one thing, let me hand you this. And he gave me a Swiss Army penknife. You know those like Victorinox Swiss Army knives? It's like a little red knife where the blade comes in and out. You know what I mean? So you can put it in your pocket and it doesn't cut your pocket. I'm sure that's the reason that they designed them like that, just so that it wouldn't damage the inside of your pocket. They're convenient little things. Boy Scouts have them. You can pull the blade out, it kind of comes out and round, and then you've got a lovely little, very attractive Swiss Army knife. So he gave me one of them. He said, Luke, you're going to need this Swiss Army knife. I don't really know why you're going to need it, but that you might need to cut something. Maybe if you get lost in the forest, you'll need this to help you forage for mushrooms in the forest, all right? But if you do forage for mushrooms, I have to warn you, don't eat the red and white mushrooms, all right? You can eat the other mushrooms, but don't eat the red and white mushrooms, all right? Why not? Why not, farmer? Why can't I eat the red and white mushrooms? Because I'm collecting them, all right? They're mine. They're my mushrooms, and I don't want you eating them, okay? I'm collecting them for myself. Also, if you eat them, then they might make you a bit mad. Oh, right, okay. Is this what's going on then? Are you a mushroom person? Are you one of these people who eats mushrooms? That might explain why you're not making any sense, because if you eat mushrooms that make you go mad, maybe you're just making all this stuff up about an enchanted river. That's it, you're just a crazy mushroom head, aren't you? Right, thanks a lot, farmer. Thanks for the penknife. That might be useful. I'm going to go now, and I'm going to find this talking dog. And if I think it's worth purchasing, if it doesn't just go sausages or something, if it doesn't just say sausages or another word, if it can actually have a conversation, if it's got some grasp over the discourse structures of English, if it can actually string a sentence together, then I might consider purchasing it. So I might come back again. I hope you do come back again, Luke, because many a weary traveller who come through these parts don't come back. So make sure you stick to the path. Don't go in the river, and answer the questions correctly. And if you need to forage for mushrooms, leave the red and white mushrooms for me, Luke, okay? Fine. Thanks a lot, farmer. Bye, 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 bye. So I left the farmer quickly, and I walked and I followed his instructions, and I kept walking, followed the little path, got down to the wall, walked all the way to the end of the wall and round again, even though there was a door that I could have used, but I was just following instructions. And then I got to the other side of the wall, and I could see before me the magical enchanted forest with a path running through it. To be honest, it wasn't that impressive. You might be imagining some kind of fairy tale, Lord of the Rings kind of forest, but it was just a few trees, really. It wasn't that impressive. And there was a motorway. There was like a highway just next to it with cars going which ruined the mystery somewhat. Anyway, I walked through the forest, and there was a path, and I stuck to the path. I didn't venture off from the path, even though if you're listening to this, you probably want me to. You're probably thinking, oh, but Luke, surely you should venture off the path, tragically, and end up in some horrible situation where you have to battle spiders. And, you know, you might, maybe you'll by accident eat one of the red and white mushrooms, and you might go off on some psychedelic experience. It could be a really interesting story. It could be brilliant. But really, I never intended to have some kind of mystical journey. So I'm going to stick to the path. So I stuck to the path, and I got to the river, and it looked all right. I mean, it looked quite nice. The water certainly looked clean and refreshing, but I thought, no, I'm going to follow the advice of the farmer. I'm not going to go into the water because it's going to make me fall asleep, and then I'll be kidnapped by goblins, and then I'll have to spend lots of money on special effects, lots of CGI, and the story will become dangerously close to the plot line of The Hobbit, and that could incur some kind of plagiarism case, and I don't want that. New Line Cinema, I'm sure they've got very good lawyers, and J.R.R. Tolkien, he's probably got a good lawyer as well, even though he's dead, but it doesn't matter. So I'm not going to start ripping off the storyline to The Hobbit, okay? Right, so I got to the bridge, and indeed it was a magical bridge. So the mushroom-eating farmer was actually right, which was strange, because I thought that he was probably just making it up based on some hallucination he'd had. But no, there it was, the magical bridge. It was quite nice. It was made of wood. I think it was IKEA, But it was a nice one. It was like one of the more expensive IKEA bridges that you can get. And it was like made of pine or something, some other kind of Scandinavian-looking wood. It was nice. It was a solid, functional, practical bridge. But there was a little man standing there, a little man. And you're probably thinking, what did he look like, Luke? What did the little man look like? Well, the little man, he was little, he was short, and he was bald, and he had a moustache, and he had a friendly face, a friendly, kind sort of round face. To be honest, he looked a lot like Danny DeVito. And I thought, is that Danny DeVito, the American actor? The guy who was in Batman Returns. He played the Penguin in Batman Returns. Danny DeVito. You know Danny DeVito, don't you? Who was in Twins, a movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Ironically titled Twins because they clearly were really different. Danny DeVito's short and funny, and Arnold Schwarzenegger is tall and serious. Danny DeVito. So basically, Danny DeVito was standing at the bridge, and he said to me, "Hey, Luke. Hey, Luke." And I said, "That doesn't sound like your voice. I don't know how you speak, really, Danny DeVito. So I'm just going to make you kind of like this, okay, Danny DeVito. I'm going to make you Italian-American already." So, and Danny DeVito said, "Hey, Luke, that's fine by me. You can make me Italian-American. It's not really the way I speak normally, but hey, that doesn't matter, okay? You're going to make me Italian-American in this story, that's fine by me." Okay, Danny, so apparently you're going to ask me 3 unique questions. Yeah, it's something like that, yeah. Okay, I got 3 questions for you. You got to listen carefully, because if you get these questions wrong, you ain't going to get over this bridge, all right? And I said to him, "That is quite a good Italian-American accent, even though that's not normally how you speak, Danny DeVito. Why is that?" "Well, to be honest with you, Luke, the reason I'm speaking like this is just because it's one of the accents that you can do. Okay? That's it. That's the only reason. It's just one of the accents that you can do. And since you're making up this story, it makes sense for me to speak in one of the voices that you're actually able to reproduce. Don't you think?" "Yeah, that's true. So let's get to it, Danny. Ask me these questions. I suppose these are questions which are uniquely designed to test me, to test my humanity, to test my soul, the true nature of my personality. Is that right?" "Yeah, Luke, it's something like that. Yeah, it's a kind of spiritual, mystical thing, I read it in some book. I think it was called what was it called now? The Road of Kings or something. The Road of Kings, Lord of the Rings, maybe. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, there was the Lord of the Rings. Yeah, I read it in the Lord of the Rings or the Hobbit or some bullshit. Yeah, it's probably best that you don't say that because I might be accused of plagiarism. Okay. Hey, look, don't worry about it. Come on, it doesn't matter. It's just a story. It's a parody, huh? It's a parody. You'll be protected by the law. It's the parody laws. Okay, you're going to be fine. Okay, right, good. So you know the law, do you, Danny? Yeah, I know the law. Yeah, I'm down with the law. I know the law because I break the law. If you break the law, you got to know the law. You got to know where the law is in order to break that law. You got to go, okay, so there's the law. I'm going to just put it down there in front of me, and then I'm going to break it. So you got to know the law in order to know how to break the law. Okay, Danny, fine. You're a kind of Italian gangster, aren't you? In a New York Italian-American gangster. I get it, but for some reason you're guarding this bridge. Yeah, Luke, don't ask too many questions, okay? Don't ask too many questions, Luke. Right? Okay, Danny, you're sounding a lot more like Robert De Niro. Yeah, well, you know why? You know why that is, Luke? Because I may look like Danny DeVito. I'm actually Robert De Niro, but I'm a method actor. So, it's just the quality of my acting. I'm such a good actor over here that you may think I look like Danny DeVito. I'm actually Robert De Niro, but never mind, okay? I'm looking for an Oscar on this one, so don't ask too many questions, Luke. Okay, right. So what's your first question for me, Danny? Okay, Luke, are you ready? Here's your first question. Question number 1. Okay, question number 1. What is the difference? What is the difference between the present perfect and the past simple tense? Oh, for God's sake, Danny, please don't ask me that. Okay, I can give you my answer. All right, Danny, here we go. Right, so the past simple is used to express some remoteness from the present. Okay, that's the basic aspect of this past simple tense. It expresses remoteness in time. Okay, so that means that we use the past simple as a way of describing events that happened in finished time periods. Okay, finished events in finished time periods. For example, I spoke to the farmer. All right, I spoke to the farmer this morning. Right, this morning is finished, so spoke because it's past simple. Finished time, finished event. Fine. Okay, so we use it to tell stories. I spoke to the farmer, and then I did that, and then I found the bridge, and now I'm talking to you. Okay, all right. This is still slightly confusing, to be honest, Luke, because you mentioned that you spoke to the farmer, but that's kind of recent time, so there's still a kind of grey area going on. I'm not really sure. Finished actions, finished time. It expresses remoteness in time because it's finished periods of time. Okay. And the present perfect? Okay, it's the present perfect, all right? Not present perfect. Hey, you can call it whatever you want, all right? I'm calling it the present perfect because I'm from New York. All right? And I drink coffee and I talk about present perfect tense. Get over it. Okay, present perfect. Present perfect is basically the combination, the connection between a past action and the present time, right? There's a connection between the past action and present time, and that connection can be expressed in a number of ways. For example, it could be that it was a very recent event. For example, I've just seen the farmer. Okay, I've just seen the farmer. Very recent event, using the word just as emphasis. Okay, also it could be a connection between a past event and the present because the past event is still happening. For example, I've been telling this story. Luke, that's present perfect continuous. Okay, for example, I've worked as a language. Luke, come on, pull yourself together. Okay, I've worked as a language teacher for 12 years. Okay, so I started 12 years ago. I'm still working as a language teacher. So yes, you see, started in the past, still happening now. That's the connection between the past and the present. The verb is still happening now, right? Also, it could be that the action is finished, but there is some evidence, some effect on the present. So, I've lost my keys. Oh God, I've lost my keys. So I lost my keys in the past, but I still don't have my keys. So I've lost my keys. Compare that to I lost my keys. I lost my keys, Danny. All right. If I said to you, "Hey, Danny, I lost my keys," then you'd probably say what? "Hey, when did you lose them?" Or, "So I assume you've got your keys back now." That's right, exactly, because I lost my keys. The idea is that that happened in a finished time, and that maybe between losing the keys and now you found them again, right? Yes. Okay, so did I answer the question, Danny? Yeah, you did. It was a little bit boring, to be honest with you, because grammar is dull. That's right, it is. It does tend to be dull. But, you can't complain that the answer was boring because you asked me the question. What did you expect? Okay, Luke. Okay, question number 2. Okay, question number 2. And here it comes. Okay, here it comes. All right. Okay, I've got it. It's a mathematical question. Now, listen carefully, Luke. I am listening carefully. I get the impression that you're struggling to think of a question. No, Luke, no. I got a question for you now. What's happened to your accent, Danny? Never mind, Luke. Never mind, all right? Okay, here's the question. John is on a train from Birmingham in your limey country, England. John is on a train from Birmingham to Manchester, all right? The train is moving at 50 kilometers an hour, okay? Jane is in another train from Manchester to Birmingham. What has happened to your accent? Never mind, Luke. Listen to the fucking question, all right? John is on a train, a stupid British train, from Birmingham to Manchester. The train is moving at 50 miles an hour. Jane is on another train. She's moving from Manchester to Birmingham, goddammit. All right? Now, her train is moving at 100 miles an hour, kilometers an hour, sorry, metric system. And the question is, what are they both going to eat for breakfast? What? That's a ridiculous question. How am I supposed to know what they're both going to eat for breakfast? Come on, Luke. Come on. You got to think. Use your brain. Use your mind. Do whatever you can. You got to answer this question. Otherwise, you're never going to get across this stupid IKEA bridge here, and you're never going to get to see this talking dog, and your listeners are just going to get frustrated, and they're going to stop listening to this bullshit. All right, so you gotta answer the question, otherwise this story is never ever going to end. I can't believe you haven't even got to the talking dog yet. Okay, all right, Danny, I really need to answer this question quickly so that I can just get away from you, because you're just annoying. All right. Okay, Danny, I know the answer. John and Jane, despite the fact that they're on different trains, travelling at different speeds, bound for different English cities, they're both eating chips because they're English. Hey, look, you're very good. You are very, very good. You answered the question correctly. You didn't get distracted by the mathematical thing. It was a cultural question. You're right. It was chips because they're English. Okay, good. Now, question three. Danny, get a grip. Okay, question 3. The question is this. Now, if John Lennon, Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr, and George Harrison had never recorded any of those amazing songs that they did, what would they have done with their lives? Okay? That's the question. Go. What? That's the totally speculative question. There's no definite right or wrong answer to that. How am I supposed to get the answer right when there's no definite right or wrong answer? Yeah, well, to be honest, Luke, I didn't really think about that. So, just give it your best shot. That's all I can say, all right? I'll take that into consideration. Okay, all right then. You're not a very good bridge guard, are you, Danny DeVito? Hey, no, I'm not, but, I'm just acting. I'm actually Robert De Niro. Danny DeVito is not available, so I had to come in, and I'm improvising, so come on, give me a break. Okay, Danny, Robert, whatever. Okay, so if the Beatles hadn't recorded those songs, what would they have done? I think, now really, what would they have done? I think that they probably would have. I think John Lennon would have been an artist in some way. He would have been a painter. John Lennon would have become a painter. Paul McCartney would have become some kind of, I think he would have gone into advertising. He would have been an advertising executive, and he would have been very successful as an advertising executive. Ringo Starr would have opened a chain of hairdressers. He would have been a hairdresser. And George Harrison would have opened a curry restaurant, an Indian restaurant. Okay? Very good, Luke. You are very, very good. I've no idea if those answers are actually correct, but I kind of liked what you said. So you can get over the bridge. So I sprinted, dashed across the bridge in order to escape from Danny DeVito because he was so annoying. And I thought, I've got to get to this talking dog, and I've got to do it quickly because this is ridiculous. I don't even know if I'm going to upload this story onto the internet because it's just so stupid. And I'm concerned that if I do upload this onto the internet, that it's going to bring down the general level of quality of Luke's English podcast. But, it's Luke's English podcast. It's my thing. I can do whatever I want. If I fancy uploading this, then I will, God damn it. Okay, so I got finally to a big barn. That's like a big wooden building where farmers keep, crops and keep animals. I got into the barn, and there in the corner of the barn, there was a dog. There was a little dog in the corner of the barn. And I thought, oh my God, there's the dog. That must be it. Okay, so I approached the dog, and the dog was just sitting in the corner of the barn, just chatting away. Not on a computer, but just chatting with his voice. And I thought, this is amazing. The dog was, cute little dog, looked kind of old, shaggy hair, like long floppy ears. I don't know what kind of breed it was. I think it was like a mongrel, like a mix of breeds. But he was a charming, cute dog, kind of grey fur, long shaggy hair, fur, long ears, and he was sitting in the corner of the barn just chatting. He was going, well, I suppose the probably the greatest adventure that I ever had was when I got locked inside a Russian prison, and I had no choice but to eat rats in order to survive, and that was exciting. And the only way I could get out was to slowly but surely pick at the concrete around the bars of the cage, and I did that over a period of like 20 years, I think it was, and eventually I managed to free myself, and I leapt forward into the Siberian tundra in order to escape that hellhole, and then I was free, finally, free again, free at last. And I interrupted the dog, and I said, excuse me, sorry to interrupt you, but are you the talking dog? And the dog went, well, what do you expect? I mean, that's rather a stupid question, wouldn't you say? Well, yeah, I suppose so. I mean, I know that you are a talking dog, but are you the talking dog? The famous talking dog from the sign by the road? Yes, Luke, that's me. I'm the famous talking dog, and as you can hear, I speak rather well. I've got a excellent sort of 1950s era BBC accent, and my diction is perfect, and I really represent some kind of ideal version of English. So yes, indeed, Luke, I am the talking dog, and in fact here I am, a dog talking to you now. Would you like to ask me any questions? Well, first of all, I'd just like to say that this is amazing, and I've got loads of questions, like, for example, how do you speak? How did you learn to talk? And you know, how did you end up in this farm? I don't know where to start. How come you can speak? Well, Luke, really, I'm just an ordinary dog like other dogs, except that I can speak perfect English. And really, it started when I was a puppy. I was brought up here on this farm, as a matter of fact, and I just learned to talk just by listening to the radio. We used to put the farmer used to bring a little radio in here, and he'd play BBC Radio 4, and I would listen to it, and eventually I just started barking certain words. I would sort of bark, hi, 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 things like that. I would just start barking words. And my other dogs, the other dogs here on the farm, they could also speak, but the only word they could say was woof. That was it. They would just run around going woof, 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 woof. Rather limited, rather basic vocabulary, not very stimulating conversation. For example, after I'd learned, you know, the basics, I would say to them, so, how are you? How are you, Fido? And Fido would go, woof, woof, woof. Boring, frankly, boring conversation. I can't really explain why I can speak. It's just one of those things, really. I just learnt how to do it from... I guess I'm talented or something. I can just do it. You know, some dogs can play the piano. Some dogs can juggle. Well, I can speak. I can speak well. Can dogs play the piano and juggle? Well, never mind, Luke, never mind. So, yes, I can speak. And really, so you must have had quite an interesting life as a talking dog. Well, as a matter of fact, Luke, I have. In fact, I've been all around the world, and I've done many, many, many things. In fact, once, someone from the MI5, that's the Secret Service, isn't it? That's right, Luke. Thanks for explaining that. A gentleman from the MI5 came to visit me once because he wanted to employ me as a spy. So I joined the MI5, that's right, and I worked with James Bond. Now, James Bond didn't really like me. Why didn't he like you? Well, the reason he didn't like me was because, first of all, he doesn't really like dogs. It's rather irrational. He's more of a cat person himself. He likes pussies, you know. And so he didn't like me because, not only because he prefers, you know, cats, but because he's irrational. He's an irrational man. Anyway, he's a very good spy, but we didn't really get on. But we used to go on missions together, and in fact, what they would do is they would send me deep behind enemy lines. Deep behind enemy lions? Yes, Luke, we would infiltrate circuses, bad, evil circuses, and I would go deep behind enemy lions. Also, I would go into Africa, and there I would go deep behind enemy lions as well. No, not enemy lions, Luke. Don't be ridiculous. Enemy lines. Enemy lines. You know, in a war or something. Yes, this was during the Cold War. They sent me to Russia, and I spied on the leaders of the Soviet Union. They didn't realize that I was spying because they thought I was a dog. They were like, "Oh, look at the lovely dog." They spoke in Russian, of course, rather than that ridiculous accent that I just did. Oh, look, there is a lovely dog. I don't think that that's a particularly good accent, but never mind. They just thought I was a dog, and so they continued their clandestine meetings, and I was able to listen in, and then I would run back. I'd trot back to HQ, to the MI5, and I'd reveal all of the Russian secrets in it. It helped to prevent the Cold War from breaking out into genuine war. So I like to think that I saved the world, really. I didn't just do that, Luke. I had lots of other adventures which I could tell you about if there was time, but you'll just have to take my word for it. For example, I worked for the Rolling Stones as a drugs mule. Obviously, when they travelled around the USA, they couldn't hold on to their drugs. It's the Rolling Stones. They took a lot of drugs. That's what they're supposed to do. They're the Rolling Stones. I think you'll agree, Luke. Yes, that's right. Although drugs are bad, if it's the Rolling Stones, that's okay, isn't it? Because that's their job, isn't it? They're supposed to be sort of drug users and crazy rock and roll drug guys. So that's all right, isn't it? Yes, Luke, it is, exactly. So when they were travelling around the world, they couldn't hold on to the drugs themselves. So what they did is they gave them all to me, and I just kept them in a little bag around my neck. And so when the police stopped the Rolling Stones, it's like, you're the Rolling Stones, and we're going to stop you and search you because we suspect that because you're the Rolling Stones, you will have some illegal substances about your persons. So empty your pockets, Keith Richards. And Keith would go, yeah, all right, yeah, I don't mind. If I empty my pockets, that's all right. And Mick was like, now look here, right? Now, you asking me to empty my pockets. And so that was the Rolling Stones. But I would have all the drugs in a little bag around my neck. And the police would be like, hey, look at the cute little puppy dog. Oh, that is so cute. I never realized you Rolling Stones were such soft, dog-loving people. Well, we haven't found any drugs on you guys, so you better get on your way. Little did they know, of course, Luke, that I had the drugs in a little bag around my neck. I say little bag, it was actually rather a large bag. It was a huge sack, which I dragged behind me because it was so full of drugs, because it's the Rolling Stones, Luke, because they took lots of drugs. They don't anymore, of course. They've cleaned themselves up, and they're now very respectable and clean living to an extent. So I did all kinds of crazy things. I've been all around the world, Luke, as a talking dog, and I've had many experiences. It's been incredible. But now I like to just stay here in the farm and just rest in the farm. Back with my family. I've got my doggy wife and my doggy children, and it's fine. And I'm happy now, settled here. And so I said to the dog, so, all right, that's an amazing story. I can't believe, A, that you can speak, and B, that you've had all these incredible experiences. This is unbelievable. Now, can you just wait here? I'm just going to pop back to the farmer. I just want to speak to him about something. Never mind what it is. I just want to chat to the farmer about something quickly, okay? So the dog was like, certainly, Luke, certainly. I'll be here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm a dog. I mean, I have legs, but I won't be using them because I'm resting, okay? So fine, you come back in a bit. So I went outside the barn, and I looked around. I thought, do I have to go across that bridge and through that enchanted forest again? Because I don't want to have to meet Robert De Niro. That's just annoying. So what I did was, I just ran. I ran as fast as I could. I jumped over the river. Robert De Niro was like, hey, look, what are you doing? And I just kept going. I kept running through the forest. I didn't keep to the path, but it was all right because, there were spiders, but they were only small, tiny little spiders. So I just ran over them, no problem. I didn't harm them. They were okay. I jumped over them, you see, because I'm a jumpy person. I can jump things. And I got to the wall, and I just went through the door. I didn't need to go round the wall because that's ridiculous, isn't it? What's the point of that? I just went through the door because there was a door in the wall. And I got to the farmer. I got to the farmhouse. I knocked on the door. Knock, 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 knock. And the farmer arrived. He said, all right, Luke, so I suppose I hope that you didn't leave the path and that you didn't go in the river and that you managed to answer the questions and that you left the red and white mushrooms alone. Yes, I did. I didn't even see any red and white mushrooms. Ah, Luke, you say that. You say that you didn't see them, but maybe you did. Maybe you did see them, and maybe you ate some and you don't realise it. maybe this is all just a dream. Yeah, maybe it's a dream, but maybe it's not, all right? In fact, I'm sure it's not, because, I'm writing this story and I decide what's happening, and basically, no, I didn't see any mushrooms, all right? You can keep them, you crazy weirdo. And I said, right, so this talking dog, I can't believe it. It's true. It's a real talking dog. It's amazing. I'd like to buy the dog. I'd like to buy it, and I'm going to offer you £1,000 for it. And the farmer said, to be honest, Luke, you can keep the dog, because he's a liar. He never did any of those things. He just made it all up. You can have him for free. And I thought, oh my God, I can't believe it. That's it. That's the punchline of the story. What a massive anticlimax. That's just disappointing. Just from a joke point of view. In terms of the story, good, free, excellent. I'll just go and pick him up now. Thanks a lot, farmer. So I took a shortcut back to the barn. I didn't realise, but there was like a little tunnel underneath the forest. I just went through the tunnel. It was convenient. But that's what happens when you're making up stories. You can just decide that there are tunnels that allow you to make shortcuts. It's clever, isn't it? It's not really clever, it's kind of stupid. But anyway, I got back to the barn and I found the dog and I said, so doggy, Snoop, doggy dog. Well, I don't know what your name is. I'm going to call you Snoop, okay? Snoop, doggy dog. Snoopy, fine. So Snoopy, the farmer says I can take you. So you're coming with me, okay, Snoopy? You're coming with me. And Snoopy said, really, Luke, really? Think, Luke, are you going to take me away from my family? Are you going to take me away from my doggy wife? Are you going to separate me from my doggy children? And I said to him, oh God, Snoopy, don't, you're breaking my heart. Don't do that. But Luke, I'm retired now. I don't want to be taken off on some other adventure. Just leave me, Luke. Leave me here. Leave me at peace with my doggy wife and my doggy kids. And I said to Snoopy, okay, all right, but promise me one thing, Snoopy. Promise me one thing. Now I'm going to leave you this MP3 recorder, okay, Snoopy? I'm going to leave that with you, and I want you to promise that from time to time you just record stories about your experiences and then just email them to me, okay? And because I think you'd be great for Luke's English podcast. I think you've got so many interesting stories to tell, and because you speak such good English, I think that you could provide a really great example of spoken English for all of my listeners. You know, I think that they would enjoy the stories, and I think they'd be able to learn a lot and be able to copy your excellent English. I think that it's important. You can help many people around the world to improve their English. You don't even need to go anywhere. You don't need to go behind enemy lions or behind enemy lines. You don't need to do anything really. You just have to record some stories and send them to me by email. Will you promise to do that for me, Snoopy? And Snoopy said, well, Luke, I shall promise to do that. And you know what? As a matter of fact, that's perfect, because obviously I love my life here on the farm, but sometimes I miss opportunities to speak real British English. And so I'll be glad to record my voice into this little recorder for you, and I will email stuff to you. I'm not able to use a computer myself, but it's okay. I'm going to ask Bessie the cow. She's an IT expert, so I'll ask her and she'll help me out to do it, and it'll be great. So thank you, Luke. Thanks for not taking me away from my little doggy wife, my doggy children. Yes, thank you for not separating me from them. And so with that, I wished Snoopy farewell. I left him the MP3 recorder, and I put my hand back in my pocket, and I realised that there was a Swiss Army penknife in there. And I thought, well, if I'm going to take one thing away from this, it'll be this little Swiss Army knife. And maybe I'll be able to use it in the future in another episode of Luke's English podcast, in which I make up some kind of ridiculous story that doesn't make any sense and could possibly have alienated a large section of my audience. But if you've listened to the episode up to this point, then that must mean that you've either got some patience, or that you've got nothing better to do, or you found the story to be another unquestionable work of genius from the mind of Luke from Luke's English podcast.
Driving down the highway one day, he sees a sign by the side of the road. It says, talking dog inside. Doesn't have anything much else to do that day, so he figures he'll check it out. So he goes inside, man behind the counter, he says, I understand that you have a talking dog. He says, yes, I do. He says, can I see it? He says, sure. He says, go around the back, you'll see the talking dog. So he goes around to the back of the store, and sure enough, there's an old mangy dog lying there in the corner. So he goes over to the dog, he says, excuse me, he says, are you the talking dog? And the dog looks up, he says, yes, I am. He says, well, that's amazing. He says, how did you learn how to talk? He says, really, he says, there's not much I can tell you. He says, when I was growing up, I was a little puppy. All my other litter mates, they would bark, they would howl, but I would talk. He says, it just came naturally. He says, that's an amazing thing. He says, did you ever do anything to capitalize on this amazing talent of yours? He said, oh, yes. He said, shortly after I reached adulthood, I was a young dog. He says, I joined the CIA. They assigned me to go behind the Iron Curtain. I went to Warsaw, I went to Prague, I spent some time in Moscow. People would talk freely in front of me because I'm a dog, and then I would return and I would report back to my case officer. We had many, many intelligence coups that way. He says, that's really sensational. He says, did you do anything after the CIA? He says, yeah. He says, I went to work for the State Department. I was at the Court of St. James at the American Embassy in London. He says, I went to Paris. I served several years there. He said, frankly, I got tired of being away from home. He says, I came back here, I met a beautiful female dog. We got married, and we have a beautiful litter, and I'm settled down now. This is what I'm doing. He says, that's sensational. He says, wait a minute. He says, I'll be right back. So he goes around to the front of the store, and he says, I don't suppose you'd be willing to sell this dog. He says, sure. He says, I'd be willing to sell him. He says, well, how much would you want for this dog? He says, $10. He says, $10? He says, for a dog, that's so fantastic. He says, he's full of shit. He never did any of those things.